What if I told you that a seemingly insignificant habit, costing only $25, could revolutionize your entire relationship with money? Stick with me here, because this isn't another one of those tired, condescending lectures about saving more and spending less, which always assumes you have spare cash to begin with. Let's face it. Being broke isn't just about the number in your bank account. It's the constant, exhausting mental gymnastics. Checking your balance before you even think about ordering that latte. Mentally adding up the cost of every item in your grocery cart as you navigate the aisles. Praying you don't go over. Coming up with increasingly elaborate excuses to avoid dinner plans. Because admitting you can't afford it again feels like a crushing personal failure. And the advice? Oh, the brilliant advice. Just budget better. Cut out the lattes. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Seriously. Where do people come up with this revolutionary insight? But what I'm sharing with you today actually works. It's ridiculously simple, and I call it the $25 rule. Now, before you click away thinking this is a waste of time, consider this: in 2025, a staggering 48% of Gen Z is projected to be living paycheck to paycheck. That's nearly half of all young adults struggling just to stay afloat, often spending almost double what they earn. It's not like they want to be in this situation. They want to save. A full 72% of them took active steps last year to try and improve their financial situation. They're trying. They're just approaching it all wrong. Because nobody ever teaches you how to build a saving habit when you're starting from absolute zero. This isn't about complex calculations or spreadsheets. This is about reprogramming your brain, rewiring your financial instincts. Let's get brutally real about the current financial landscape facing young people. The average Gen Z individual is carrying over $94,000 in personal debt. And a shocking 41% literally cannot handle a $2,000 emergency. Car repair, medical bill. Unexpected travel, it would financially devastate them. And the root cause? Financial avoidance. People are so overwhelmed and stressed by their financial situation that they just stop looking at their accounts altogether. Letting debt grow like a toxic mold in the dark corners of their lives. And here's a factor that nobody seems to be talking about: 70 million Americans are now engaged in gig work. That's 36% of the entire workforce. Their income isn't stable, it's chaotic. $200 one week, $1, $500 the next. Your brain simply cannot budget effectively with that level of unpredictability. So, that classic 50/30/20 budgeting rule? Utterly useless. When you're truly broke, there's no 30% for wants. It's more like 95% for absolute necessities and 5% for desperately praying that your car doesn't break down, again. Here's what inevitably happens when you try to implement traditional financial advice while you're already struggling. You bravely set up that responsible automatic transfer. 20% goes straight to savings. You feel a momentary surge of pride. 3 days later, you desperately need gas to get to work. 5 days after that, a forgotten subscription fee hits your account. You're forced to transfer the money back out of savings. Feeling like an utter failure. You've just proven to yourself that you're incapable of saving. The shame spiral begins. Or you get the advice to build a 6-month emergency fund. Great advice, in theory. But it's like telling someone who can't even swim to immediately complete a full triathlon. The advice isn't inherently wrong, it's just not step one. This is what we're fighting against, not math, but psychology. Our deeply ingrained beliefs about ourselves and our relationship with money. So, here's the rule. It's stupidly simple. Every single time you receive any payment, whether it's a paycheck, gig earnings, birthday money from your grandma, anything, you immediately put $25 into a completely separate savings account. That's it. I can practically hear the skepticism radiating through the screen. $25? That's the secret? Yes, because this isn't really about the $25 itself. This is about hacking your brain. Tricking it into adopting a new, positive financial behavior. Here's how to put it into action. 1. Open a brand new savings account. Crucially, it must start at 0. A completely fresh start. Give it a name that resonates with you, a name that actually means something. The Vault. The Freedom Fund. The Finally Not Broke account. 2. Choose a threshold. This is the minimum payment amount that triggers your $25 deposit. If you're doing gig work, maybe it's every time you earn over $150 in a single shift. 3. And this is the most critical part. Asterisk, do not automate it. Asterisk, you need to manually transfer that $25 every single time you hit your threshold. You need to feel it, to physically watch the number in your savings account grow. To create that new neural pathway in your brain that says, I just got paid. Now I save. Do this repeatedly. Hit your threshold 3 times in 1 week. That's $75 of real money that you didn't have before. And for those of you already calculating that $25 a week is only $100 a month, you're absolutely right. You know what else is right? It's infinitely more than the $0 you're saving right now. More importantly, it's about building the habit. Once you become comfortable with that $25 disappearing into savings, you'll naturally start wondering, could I maybe do $35? Perhaps even $50 on a particularly good week? I've personally witnessed people go from saving absolutely nothing to saving $200 or more a month just by starting with this simple rule. There's another, often overlooked, side to all of this. Financial literacy scores for Gen Z are currently at a dismal 38%. That's a failing grade. Yet, despite this, over 5 million freelancers are earning over $100,000 a year. These aren't trust fund babies. They're gig workers who started small and learned to scale. What separates them from the ones who are still struggling? Confidence. Financial confidence built by consistently proving to themselves that they could save. Even if it was just $25 at a time. Research on gig workers has consistently found that those with even $500 in savings were 3 times more likely to significantly scale their income in the following year. Why? Because they had breathing room. They could afford to take calculated risks. They could confidently turn down bad clients or exploitative gigs. The $25 rule creates that essential breathing room. This is ultimately about the confidence shift. It's about changing how you see yourself. I received a message from someone who had saved $1,200 in just 7 months using this rule. It wasn't life-changing money, but for the first time in their adult life, they went out to dinner and just ordered. They didn't compulsively check their bank account app. They didn't meticulously calculate the cost of every item on the menu. That's freedom. Let's break down the psychology of why this seemingly simplistic rule works when everything else has failed. First, it's simple enough to remember and small enough to start immediately. Your brain is already exhausted and overwhelmed. You can't realistically calculate 20% of variable income to your already overflowing to-do list. But you can easily remember $25. It's not 0, so you feel productive and motivated. It's not huge, so you don't feel deprived or resentful. Small, consistent actions build far stronger habits than large, irregular ones. Eventually, getting paid automatically triggers the thought, $25 to savings. It becomes almost reflexive. Second, it gamifies the experience. Starting at 0 and watching that number in your savings account steadily climb, $25. $50. $125 triggers the same reward pathways in your brain that light up when you level up in a video game. You visually see progress. You become invested in the outcome. You start fiercely protecting that number. Chaos and restriction don't motivate, progress does. Third, it's zero risk and completely flexible. This is absolutely critical when you're constantly on the financial edge. The money isn't locked away in some inaccessible account. If your car breaks down, you can use it. There's no penalty, no guilt, no shame. Handle the emergency, and then simply start rebuilding your savings. I've seen people go through this cycle 3 or 4 times a year. But each time, they rebuild faster because the saving habit is stronger. They know they can do it. Fourth, and this is where the real transformation happens, it changes your identity. When you're constantly broke, you tend to internalize the belief that you're simply someone who can't save. I'm just bad with money. That negative story becomes your self-fulfilling prophecy. But when you consistently succeed at the $25 rule for a few weeks, that internal narrative starts to shift. You begin to see yourself as someone who saves. Someone who actually has a savings account with real money in it. A different identity inevitably leads to different actions and behaviors. You start actively looking for that extra gig shift because you're motivated to hit your threshold again. Another person messaged me, telling me they had saved $2,000 in 8 months. Then, their laptop died. They confidently pulled $1,400 from their savings, bought a refurbished one, and still had $600 left. They said the craziest part wasn't actually having the money. It was how incredibly calm they felt throughout the entire process. No panic, just a sense of, okay, I'll handle this. That's what true financial confidence looks like. So, let's get specific. Here's your action plan. Step 1, open that new savings account right now, not tomorrow, not later. Go online. It takes 5 minutes. Start at 0. Give it a name. Step 2, decide on your threshold. Be specific. Step 3, make your first deposit. $25. Right now. Prove to yourself that you can do it. The hardest part is always just starting. Step 4, track your progress. Check in weekly. Watch your savings grow. Feel good about it. Actively associate saving with positive feelings, not deprivation or sacrifice. And here's what not to do. Don't compare your hard-earned $200 to someone else's $50,000 windfall. You're not competing with them. You're competing with the version of yourself from last month who had absolutely zero in savings. Don't get discouraged if you have to withdraw money for a genuine emergency. That's precisely what it's there for. You're not failing, you're succeeding at what savings is supposed to do. And don't wait until you're making more money. That mythical, someday, never actually comes. Start now, with what you have, no matter how small. This is level 1. Just focus on building the habit. Level 2 is gradually increasing the amount you save when you can, $35, $50, whatever feels comfortable. Level 3 is working towards building a $2,000 emergency fund. That's where the real stress relief starts to kick in. Level 4 is pushing towards having 3 months of essential expenses covered. It might take a year or longer to reach that goal. That's perfectly okay. You're building long-term security, not racing to the finish line. I won't insult your intelligence by telling you that this one simple rule will magically make you rich. It won't. But if you are currently broke, living paycheck to paycheck, and have never been able to build any savings, this works. The difference between having zero and having even just $500 isn't just $500. It's the difference between paralyzing panic and a sense of calm. Between feeling utterly screwed and feeling like you can actually handle whatever life throws your way. Between feeling like a complete failure and feeling like you're finally in control of your financial destiny. In 2025, almost half of all young adults won't be able to cover even a small, unexpected emergency. Don't be in that half. Start with $25. Build the habit. Watch it grow. Prove to yourself that you can do this, because you absolutely can. The question isn't whether the $25 rule works. The question is whether you're actually going to try it. What do you have to lose?